What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. In today's video, you've got the footage. We're up to date pretty much with it. This is from last week again. I'm just showing you kind of some of the top sets, or the heaviest sets from each training session. The amount of workload that I'm doing is far greater than that. I'm usually doing about, on total, maybe about between 6 and 10 sets of squats, bench and deadlift. But again, I'm only showing you one. But what I wanted to talk about in today's video was fatigue management and understanding fatigue management properly. So what we need to think about is, fatigue being accumulative and your body's ability to handle fatigue. So a good analogy I like to use is the sink. Okay, so we've got a sink and we have a tap which lets out water, and then we've got a hole in the sink which drains the water. Now, how much water is running through the tap is the amount of fatigue that you're accumulating. How deep the sink is your ability to handle fatigue. So that obviously the deeper your sink is, the more fatigue you're ultimately going to be able to handle. And the sink hole is your ability to get rid of the fatigue and drop off the fatigue. Now, one thing we need to realise is with the kitchen, with the tap and the amount of fatigue that you are accumulating via training, and you're trying to manage that fatigue, what we need to realise is that human beings, the 99% of people's don't just go to the gym and that's it. Most people have, partners, they might have children, they have taxes to pay, they've got bills to pay, they've got everyday stressors, they've got jobs, they've got deadlines, they've got uni, and people have got hectic stuff, and all of that stuff accumulates fatigue. All of fatigue is accumulative, whether it is a lack of sleep, which is going to increase stress levels due to having to be up late studying, or maybe you're not having a very good time with your partner, and maybe you're just you're struggling with bills and you're struggling with your income and you're getting all this fatigue. Well, then what we need to realise is that although this person used to be able to handle this amount of volume per training cycle, all of a sudden this person has went from being maybe a student with not that many fatigue stressors outside of training to now having a girlfriend who causes him a lot of problems and he's got a full-time job, he's got bills to pay, he's suddenly moved out his mum and dad's house, and he's got all these new different things which are all accumulating fatigue, and all of a sudden he's burning out in training. So what we need to understand, what we need to realise is that now that we know fatigue is accumulative from all different areas of life, when planning fatigue management and when incorporating fatigue management into a program, we need to adjust the total volumes and the total workload per training session, per microcycle, per mesocycle, and ultimately per macrocycle, in order to account for and allow for the extra fatigue being created from all these different life stressors, and still be able to make progress in the gym. Ultimately, the progress in the gym is probably going to slow, because ultimately you are going to be doing less volume, and if you're doing less volume, you're ultimately not going to progress quite as quickly. However, it is better to not burn yourself out, make slower progress, but not burn yourself out and be able to continue making progress, than having all these different stressors added in, not being able to handle them all, including the training stressor, burning out and possibly injuring yourself, losing all motivation and not enjoying yourself. So that's one thing to think of. And if you maybe have a coach, or your coach all of a sudden maybe your volumes are lower than normal, or maybe you're making a little bit less progress than normal and you're maybe doing a little bit less work than normal, it might well be because all of a sudden now he or she is now accounting for the changes in your lifestyle. And that's something to think of as well if you do your own programming too. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this could be helpful, and I'll speak to you next time.